In a world driven by science and innovation, our understanding of chemistry has revolutionized every aspect of our lives. But have you ever wondered why some people fear chemistry even though it is responsible for so much progress and convenience in our modern world? Welcome to a video on chemophobia, unmasking the fear of chemicals. In this eye-opening exploration, we will delve deep into the reasons behind this prevalent fear and dispel the myths surrounding it. Open any ad related to Ayurveda or alternate medicine and you will invariably see the word natural. Natural here is used as an opposite of something made up of chemicals. Some even use the word chemical free. Another word often used in the same breath is safe. Natural is equal to safe is the common mantra of the people who have this phobia. I had done a video on this natural versus chemical debate, which you can see once you are done with the video. Link is in the description. So without wasting any more time, let's get right into the video. And yeah, don't forget to share this video if you liked it. Hi, I'm Anand and welcome to Pale Blue Thoughts, the channel which debunks pseudoscience and promotes scientific temper. First, let us understand what is the meaning of the word phobia. Phobia is an intense yet irrational fear about something. The crucial word here is irrational. So let us see, why do people fear chemicals? That has got a lot to do with how we perceive chemicals in the first place. For many people, chemicals are colored substances or solutions, and they often come with warning labels such as corrosive, explosive, and so on. So this perception tends to leave a fear in the minds of the common man about chemicals. And instead of dispelling the fear, many individuals, companies and the media add fuel to the fear by constantly brainwashing them with the propaganda that chemicals are bad and harmful, and on the side promote items as chemical free. Just see these ads of products which are labeled as chemical free. Our babas are not far behind. They market products which are labeled chemical free and contains only Shuddh Gomutra. So can we really pass one day of our lives without interacting with or not using chemicals? Think about how you start your day. You wake up, you wash your face with dihydrogen monoxide, plain water. Take out your toothbrush made of plastic and other chemical. Open the tube of toothpaste which again contains many chemicals. The soap that you use to take bath, the shampoo, the conditioner, the towel that you dry yourself with, all are chemicals. By the time you sit for your breakfast, you have already interacted with hundreds of chemicals, and yet you are alive. The food that you eat, the air that you breathe, each molecule that makes you are chemicals. There is nothing in this world which exists which is not made up of chemicals. But why do people have this notion that anything that occurs naturally in nature is chemical free? And is it safe to equate everything natural as safe? Let us see some examples. We all know of snake venom, which is naturally occurring but can kill us. Have you heard of a bacterium called Clostridium botulinum, which creates a powerful neurotoxin as its self-defense? It can inactivate our ribosomes within our cells. The lethal dose value is 1 nanogram per kilogram. 2.5 grams of it can easily wipe off the entire population of a metro city like Delhi in a flash. Just 2.5 grams. One type of this toxin, botulinum toxin type A, can be used to temporarily reduce the appearance of facial wrinkles by relaxing the muscles responsible for causing them. I'm sure you must have heard of Botox injections. Well, it is this poison used in controlled levels. There is this plant called Taxus baccata, or the English yew tree from which a drug for cancer called Taxol is made. But the same plant also contains another highly toxic chemical called taxine B, whose lethal dose is 3 mg per kilogram. 90s kids from Kerala would remember this Indian licorice which we used to play with. We played with it, little knowing that eating just one of the seed would kill us, as it contains a deadly poison called abrin. This is Tinospora cordifilia, popularly known as gilloy or guduchi, consumed quite frequently up north. It contains a chemical called berberine, which is a known carcinogen which can cause lung and liver cancer. I could go on about plant-based toxins, but I will save it for another video. So in front of all these, the deadly potassium cyanide is a little baby, and all these occur very naturally around us. Here I am going to show the chemical content of two products that we commonly see around us. Can you recognize them? If you can't, don't worry. These are those products. On the left is your banana, and on the right is the contents of a chicken egg. So the people who fearmonger others by crying chemicals should pay attention to these before crying out loud. In today's world of information and artificial intelligence, you would need just seconds to search for the chemical constituents of any fruit or vegetable or plant that we consume. Alternatively, you can also check out this website called Dr. Duke's Phytochemical and Ethnobotanical Databases, which would tell you exactly what is present in almost any plant on this planet. I will link it in the description for you. Very handy website and one for your bookmark for sure. We Indians love spices. We can't do without them in our kitchen and food. So what gives spices their spiciness? You guessed it, chemicals. Turmeric contains curcumin, pepper, piperine, chili, capsaicin, cloves, eugenol, ginger, gingerol, cuminaldehyde in cumins, and cinnamaldehyde in cinnamons, and the list can go on and on. All these chemicals are what gives our spices the taste and flavor that we cannot do without. And yet, we fear chemicals. What about smells? I am sure you have heard the saying, a rose by any name would smell as sweet, but a rose with any other chemical would not smell the same. A chemical called geraniol is responsible for the sweet scent we associate with roses. Similarly, cis-jasmone, another chemical, causes our jasmine to smell the way it does. Now here is something interesting. Take this chemical, carvone, for instance. Chemically it is the same substance, but it is present in cumin and spearmint and gives them the respective smell and flavors. One is jeera and the other is pudina. Same chemical, just opposite mirror images, carvone plus and carvone minus. The lovely colors that we see in plants are again chemicals. There are various flavonoids, carotenoids that gives those wonderful colors to the flowers. And yet, some people say chemicals are bad. Coming to taste, taste is also due to various chemicals. The saltiness of salt, the sweetness of sugar, the bitterness of bitter gourd, the tanginess of tamarind, the umaminess of MSG are all due to various chemicals present in them. We have also artificially created many compounds which create different tastes. L-aspartame, for instance, is 200 times sweeter than sugar. Lugdunine, a synthesized sweetener, is around 3 lakh times more sweeter than sugar. Bitrex, another chemical that we have developed, is the most bitter chemical compound known. Dilutions of as little as 10 parts per million are unbearably bitter to most humans. Hopefully, homeopaths won't hear about it and use it in their medicines. No amount of sugar pills would be enough to mask its taste. Now coming to us humans, what are we made of? One of the earliest notions was that we were all made up of 5 elements, the Pancha Mahabhutas: sky, air, fire, land and water. But today we know better. Well, everyone except the poor Ayurvedics who are still studying this outdated concept in their textbooks. We are made up of around 4 trillion cells, which is around 4 lakh crore. Atoms combine to form molecules. Molecules combine to form macromolecules like the DNA, proteins, etc. They combine to form organelles and then finally a cell. Cells combine to form tissues, tissues to organ systems, and finally to organisms. Take a look at the composition of the human body in this picture. 65% of our body is made up of oxygen, then comes carbon at 18% and so on. We are all made up of chemicals. Our mood is decided by chemicals. If I cracked a joke which made you laugh, that means I was able to get your brain to produce a chemical called serotonin. If you wanted to be happy, you need to produce serotonin. If you want to love someone, you need to produce enough oxytocin in your brain and hope that the other person too produces enough so that you both can fall in love with each other. Are you heavily stressed? Just get your brain to release some cortisol, another chemical that helps the body cope with stressful situations. You want some pain relief or pleasure? Release some endorphins. The day I reach about 10,000 subscribers, I'm going to release some dopamine, which would get me motivated. Even our moods are regulated by chemicals. Let us take another example. Take a look at this graph which shows the growth of human population. It took Homo sapiens sapiens around 3 lakh years to reach 1 billion, which we touched in 1804. It was another 123 years before it reached 2 billion in 1927, but it took only 33 years to reach 3 billion in 1960. Thereafter, it took 14 years for the global population to reach 4 billion in 1974, 13 years to reach 5 billion in 1987, 12 years to reach 6 billion in 1999, and the global population reached 8 billion in November 2022. If you see, the exponential rise started after we crossed 2 billion in 1900s. So what happened there? Before we go into that, let's look at another statistics. I've talked about this before, life expectancy. Demographic research suggests that at the beginning of the 19th century, no country in the world had a life expectancy longer than 40 years. India was around 25 years. For Europe as a whole, it was around 33 years. Today, we live on an average 72 to 73 years. Again, we see a steep climb around the 1900s. So why is the beginning of the 20th century so critical for the human population? The answer is that was a time when we started to synthesize chemicals. Chemists had started to master the art of synthesis. It all started with Wooler's synthesis of urea in 1828, a huge milestone in chemistry. Till then, people thought that only organisms could create organic molecules which contained carbon. But Wooler created an organic compound, urea, from inorganic molecules. Glucose was synthesized in 1890. Then came the synthesis of antibiotics in 1908, and finally in 1928, discovery of penicillin by Alexander Fleming. 1933 saw vitamin C being developed in the labs, quinine in 1944, and cortisone in 1951. We were able to recreate morphine in 1952, chlorophyll by 1960, vitamin B12 in 1972, and Taxol in 1994. Chemistry had arrived to save the world and humanity. We started to develop thousands of antibiotics which helped humans to survive and live longer. Today we have over 11,000 modern medicines. I had done a video on drug discovery that most of you have never seen, which I will link up in the description. Please do watch it without fail once you're done with this one. Another area which greatly enhanced our quality of life was the advancements made in the field of agriculture. From a country that had a regular calendar of famines, today we have a surplus of food. Again, thanks to insecticides and pesticides and chemical fertilizers. I know there might be lovers of organic farming here, and I will debunk that myth very soon in another video. Even if you see the graphs on the rise of agricultural yields, that too coincides with the 1900s. 1909 was when the Haber process was developed. Two German chemists, Fritz Haber and Karl Bosch, developed ammonia through the process in the first decade of the 20th century. This led to a revolution in the field of agriculture, as nitrogen-based fertilizers helped increase our yields manifold. Had ammonia not been synthesized, only 1/8 of the current population would be alive today. That is a billion rather than 8 billion. And yet, there are many people who eat good food, drink clean water, and then ask us to say no to chemicals. Now come to the area of clean water. It is estimated that 4 billion people today don't have enough water to last a month or a year. 4 billion, mind you. The next world war that might erupt might be for water. But we have a lot of water in our atmosphere. The atmosphere has 6 times more water than what we have in our rivers. People like Dr. Kaina Suresh, who helped me in the making of this video, and many other scientists are concentrated in developing materials which would aid us to tap into the atmosphere for quenching our thirst in the future and avoid another world war. So why do people fear chemicals when without it we wouldn't be alive today? I have kind of listed down what I think are some of the reasons. The first one is lack of scientific know-how. Not everyone is a chemistry expert, and that's okay. But sometimes, because people don't really understand the basics of chemistry or toxicology, they can start freaking out about chemicals without much reason. It is like being scared of something you don't know much about. The media can really overhype stories about chemical health risks. It is like they are trying to make everyday chemicals seem way scarier than they actually are, just to grab your attention. The internet is a treasure trove of information, but it's also packed with all sorts of misinformation. Sometimes folks with a hidden agenda spread rumors or pseudoscience about chemicals. They might use sketchy evidence or half-baked claims to make you think chemicals are worse than what they really are. You ever notice how we tend to fear things we can't see or understand? Chemicals can be pretty complex, and because they are invisible, they can seem kind of mysterious and spooky to those who don't ace chemistry class. Remember those environmental disasters like the Bhopal gas tragedy or Chernobyl or Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Well, those kind of events can stick in our minds and make us even more afraid of chemicals. It is like a bad experience that keeps you worried for a long time. Some folks are all about products labeled as natural or organic because they believe these are safer and healthier. This can lead to thinking that anything with chemicals, especially synthetic ones, is automatically harmful. Once someone buys into the chemophobia, they often start looking for info that supports their fears and conveniently ignore anything that says otherwise. It is like wearing blinders to anything that doesn't fit your scary chemical narrative. And finally, ever notice how you might start thinking like your friends or family? Well, it's the same with chemophobia. If the people around you are into chemophobic ideas, you might just go along with it because, hey, it is what everyone else is doing. As I conclude our journey into the world of chemophobia, I hope this video has shed light on the misconceptions and fears surrounding chemicals. That was my intention for making this video. Chemistry has been a driving force behind our progress, making our lives safer, healthier, and more convenient. It's a field of endless possibilities and discoveries. Chemophobia is irrational and baseless. We are what we are because of chemicals. Yes, indeed, stay away from the chemicals which are labeled as dangerous, poisonous, corrosive, or explosive. But to hate everything that is chemical and fearmonger people in the process is unjustified. And please end this narrative that if it is natural, then it is safe. It is not. And just because you label something as chemical free doesn't make it chemical free. Boycott those products. They are lying to you and are using your phobia for their marketing campaigns. Unsubscribe or unfollow those Instagrammers who fearmonger people with the dreaded C word and say, please use this or please buy this because it is natural. The opposite of chemical is not natural. The opposite of chemical is nothing. Please subscribe to this channel for more informative videos. Please support this channel with your donations through Super Thanks, memberships, Buy Me a Coffee or UPI. Links are in the description. Your support, likes, comments and shares will help this channel grow and encourage me to make more videos for you. I shall be back soon with yet another thought-provoking video. Until then, it's bye-bye from Pale Blue Thoughts.